Hello, everyone. It is me, 7thHanuman. Just want to do a live community update. I hope all of you are doing well. In today's live stream, I will search for targeted individual problems and I will filter the search for videos under 4 minutes, features of Creative Commons, and sort by the upload date. So let's do one more time. Upload date under 4 minutes. It seems like these videos, if I put in the word problems, the earliest video was 1 year ago. So maybe I should just search targeted individuals. But let's just watch this video and see what this is all about. Oh, it's in Russian. Okay, well, I don't know. I don't understand the language. I'm just going to go back. I'm going to take out this word problems. And do the same thing under 4 minutes, Creative Commons, and upload date. Okay, so 3 months ago. This is a video in the Creative Commons. Let's check this one out.
Like a robot, basically. So, no, I'm not becoming a robot. I'm not becoming a robot whatsoever. So I can be a perp and harass people like, no. So, yeah. I rather hear that sound than sirens for sure, because that's
Okay, there's this thing. Okay, it's the sirens. The sirens are not doing anything to the targeted individuals. What the dumpster stained gang stalkers are doing is they've been directing your focus and your attention to the siren. And once they direct your attention to the siren, the next thought they will send you is gang stalking. So do you see how the combination works? First, you hear the siren. There's siren playing. The dumpster stained gang stalkers directs your attention to the siren, and immediately follow directing your focus to it. They'll send you a thought, and the thought will be gang stalking. So that's a leading thought. And once you receive that thought, if you don't recognize it, you wouldn't think twice that it's not your thought, but they guided you towards that direction of thinking. And majority of TIs will continue thinking into it, and they'll keep building on top of that thought of gang stalking relating to siren. That's all it is. That is straight to the point. If you don't believe what I just said, then you are under a heavy state of trance, because it's sirens. Even before you realize you've been gang stalked, the sirens have always been there. And you know what sirens are? Emergency. Have nothing to do with the TI. It has everything to do with the dumpster stained gang stalkers that follows the TI, purposely manipulating the TI's focus and the TI's thoughts. And if you're listening to this, the only question you should have is, whom are these dumpster stained gang stalkers? And that I will show you in 2 weeks. 2 more weeks and I will show you. Think about it. Use common sense. The sirens are not there to harass you. You are tricked by your dumpster stained gang stalkers to focus your thoughts on the sirens. And the dumpster stained gang stalkers guided your thought process to gang stalking immediately after it directed your attention to the sirens. So that's how you put the two together. Sirens, the next thought, gang stalking. And the following thoughts, you're being tricked into thinking into it. So it's important to recognize the first two steps, okay? Directing your attention, receiving the thought of gang stalking. Once you recognize that the first two steps, what you have to do is immediately stop yourself from thinking into it. Stop continue thinking into the gang stalking and sirens. And to do that, you have to silence that inner voice. You have to keep calm and keep quiet and silence the inner voice. It will take practice, but you'll get better at it. You have to recognize who is directing your thoughts. If you're not thinking about gang stalking, all of a sudden, gang stalking pops into your head. What and who is popping those thoughts into your head? Now, if you want to believe it's the government, that's fine. That's a lot better. Okay, at least you recognize the first two steps. At least you acknowledge that these thoughts are popped in by the government. But I'm telling you, it's not the government. But if you still want to believe the government, that's fine. But at least you're doing a lot better than not recognizing those thoughts being popped into your head.
It's God's creation. So I'm not taking my life either. Like, um, and I'm not going to lie. At times, I ask God, like, why do you allow these people to harass me like this? But then again, He's watching. So He's watching over me. He's watching over every TI out there. Um, and I tried to fit in. Really, I tried to fit in. I tried to be like everybody else, but no, I got rejected. Um, and I'm glad they rejected me.
Now, I don't know what she's saying about she got rejected. I mean, the way she thinks, there's good in it. There's positive vibe coming from her, but then there's also this negative vibe. You have to make up your mind. Believe in the fact that you're special as a targeted individual and believe in that. Believe in overcoming the gang stalking phenomenon. Believing in it, understanding no fear mentality will give you home court advantage inside your mind. So mentally, you must have home court advantage. And I know there'll be days that are just you getting heavier attacks than others. There are days you just feels down. That's fine. It happens. Once you go to sleep, you wake up the next morning, you feel refreshed. It goes up and down. But to make any progress, you have to not have fear. You have to understand it's okay to go out. It's okay to go do things. And when you're out in public, they're going to direct your thoughts into gang stalking. You're going to have to figure it out to Stop thinking into it. You have to tell yourself, who cares if they follow me? If that helps you. Who cares if they film me? Because you're out in public. See, these different things you gotta tell your own mind, tell yourself. It's no big deal if they're pointing a camera at you. Are you doing anything illegal? You're not. So why do you care? If you've been targeted for so many years, why do you still care? They're just, you should realize that they're holding your life back. Don't let them do that. Just do your best to move forward. Stop thinking so negatively, especially if you're a TI receiving suicidal thoughts. Those thoughts, you should already know as a TI, they're not your thoughts. You know they come from the gang stalkers. That is the same concept as what I'm saying. Think about it. You know those suicidal thoughts are not yours. So you know the gang stalkers, the dumpster staying gang stalkers, have the ability to induce thoughts and idea into your head. So that is a fact. The fact is they can have the ability to induce thoughts. So that's the same thing as when you hear the sirens, they direct your attention to the sirens, and then they induce the thought of gang stalking into your head. Now you start thinking about gang stalking because you didn't think about gang stalking when you heard the sirens. It's the dumpster staying gang stalkers purposely directed your thoughts in gang stalking after you heard the siren. Does that make sense? So if you know suicidal thoughts are not yours, but they're bombard your mind with these suicidal thoughts, then you know they already have the ability to do that. So that's the same goes for they have the ability to induce gang stalking thoughts into your mind. And that is the lower voice to skull, like I've been teaching you guys. That is lower voice to skull. It's a thought. Now, recently, Nerve Gorilla made a point making a video talking about how it's not voice to skull, it's sound to ear. And I agreed with him. To be correct, it is sound to ear. And I guess lower voice to skull, you could kind of say is low sound to ear. But I know in the community, we recognize voice to skull, so we're sticking with that. But to be politically correct, it is sound to ear. So I hope this lady will do well. Um, let's see what this video is about.
There's Grass Lakes with the biggest gang stalkers right there. He thinks he's somebody, boy. He's got the lights on top, the neighborhood watch fuck that he is, you know? He really thinks he's a Barney Five, that motherfucker does. His brother works here at the gas station. They're all gang stalking me here inside of BP's, too. They said, you guys think you got it bad in a big town, big city? That ain't shit. Being a small town like this, where all you got is 2 gas stations and everybody knows everybody else. The bullshit never quits.
Now, this is the wrong type of mentality. If you're targeted individuals and this is the type of mentality you know you're going through, then you're gonna take a lot of work to get out of it. She's having a lot of fear. Even though the way she talks, it sounds like she's ready to fight if someone wants to confront her, a gang stalker wants to confront her. Like she's not afraid to stand up, for her life, defend herself. I know that. But it's the mental fear. The mental fear is chipping away her spirit. And after years of this happening, well, mostly due to the fact that she doesn't know how they're doing it. She doesn't know how the gang stalkers are doing it and who these gang stalkers are. Even though she talked about that white truck in the beginning of this short video, she have zero proof. Okay, that's a fact. Zero proof that the person in the white truck is a gang stalker. She has no proof. But why is she so sure? That is because the dumpster stained gang stalkers, using lower voice to skull, directed her thought and attention towards the white truck and make her believe the thought that she's getting, or her thought, and she's thinking gang stalking with that white truck. That's how she's so sure. That's how the entire TI community is so sure of what they know. It's because the dumpster stained gang stalkers have the ability to put thoughts into your head. There is no possible way she knows for sure 100% that people in the truck is or related to gang stalking. There's no possible way for her to know. Zero proof she provided. She made an assumption, and her assumption was based on the thoughts that she received through her dumpster stained gang stalkers. Does that make sense? And it seems like she's been buying into those thoughts. And I can already tell just by watching this video, this TI thinks a lot. Her mind is constantly thinking. But thinking, it's okay if you think a lot, but you have to recognize the quality of your thoughts. Are those thoughts good for you? And it seems like, I'm going to make an assumption, I can't prove it, but based on this short video, the dumpster stained gang stalkers that's messing with her has been making her think a lot about gang stalking. And she's been buying into all those thoughts. So she is vulnerable. At any given moment, anywhere she go, wherever she goes, whatever she do, she could be happy, relaxed, and at any given moment, the dumpster stained gang stalkers could send her a thought and make her think that person that she was just having a good time with, it's a gang stalker. Just like that. She could be having fun with a group of people for the last 2 hours, and she really likes this one person, and all it takes is one thought coming from the dumpster stained gang stalkers to her head that directs her attention to that person that she liked and been hanging out with for the last 2 hours, make her think that's a gang stalker. Then all her feelings is gone. She'll actually buy into those thoughts, and next thing she'll start thinking into it and probably become more standoffish for the rest of the night. And she's not going to have the same feeling for that person. That's what these dumpster stained gang stalkers can do to a TI and mess with a TI's life, mess with our lives. Let's check this one out.
Scott Hensler, Friday, January 28th, 2022. Listen live on Mixler. Scott Hensler, he'll be broadcasting tomorrow, Friday, January.
All right, well, I don't know what that's about. Robert Duncan. Let's see what he has to say.
The CIA claims torture works.
Now, I've been hearing that rumors that Robert Duncan is not really a PhD. It's not really a doctor. That's why he dropped the doctor in front of his name. I don't know if that's true. That's just what I heard. I haven't done the research. I haven't done investigation, so I don't know. But I have to say, one time I did kind of look up his thesis. and I wasn't able to find a thesis for his the doctorate degree. So I found one for his bachelor's degree, but not his PhD. So that was kind of strange. And what's also strange was the title of his thesis was also the same title of somebody else's thesis in a different paper. Well, not thesis, in a different publication a few years prior to his thesis. So it's kind of strange that he would have the same title as that one paper. And I wasn't able to look into it because I guess I have to go into the Harvard Library or something, or Yale, Princeton. I forgot which school he went to.
No touch torture. It's a whole new topic, a whole new category. Most people don't believe it's happening. You can be tortured in your own home. No one will believe you. But this is torture, and I want there to be no doubt about it. This is torture, destruction of life, and a destruction to misery for all these people, the innocent Americans. And
well, I agree with him. It is a form of torture, especially when the TI community are dealing with the constant mental fear that these dumpster-stained gang stalkers are putting into our heads, into our minds. And not every TI is fortunate enough to actually overcome that. There are a lot of TIs whom are less fortunate and they don't know what to do. And every day they are being tortured. In a way, they are being tortured.
And it's a war crime. It's a crime against humanity for sure. They're trying to grasp all sorts of data from how effective can we make them kill each other themselves? How do you make a rational player go down to walk them to their death? The first logical thing they do is go to the police. Well, the police can't help you. They don't know anything. They're going to give you a lockup and so many.
The reason the police can't help a TI is because the dumpster-stained gang stalkers are not people. That is why all these years, okay, ever since I've been uploading videos on YouTube, 2+ years now, whom has actually provided a solid video of any proof of these gang stalkers? Zero. There's stories and speculation, but it's zero proof from the entire community. All we have are theories. I have theories, you have theories, everyone's got theories. But the experience is similar, okay, with a slight variation, but a similar experience, but lack of proof. That is because the dumpster-stained gang stalkers are not people. The people in public, their minds are vulnerable to being controlled by these dumpster-stained gang stalkers, just like the TI. But as TI, I would say we're more aware that something's happening. And out of all the TIs, not every one of us is going to handle the situation the same. A lot of TIs are unfortunate and they handle it completely wrong. I myself have called the police a few times. And he's right. They didn't help me. If anything, it backfired on me. But I only did it at the time because I felt like my life was in danger. Because at the time, I was just like any TI going through this. I was more scared for my family's safety. And there were times when I worried for my life. And when it's at the extreme, that's when I call the police. But it didn't work out for me.
2 hours in a psych ward.
One of the men behind the technology admits he created a monster. Dr. Robert Duncan put together the technology that allows the government to transmit thoughts and voices into the heads of Americans.
I've worked on projects.
Well, that was kind of a surprise to me what this show just mentioned, that he helped put the technology together. Now, there's one thing about Robert Duncan that just really, I find it strange, because when asked about the detailed of his work with the government, he said he signed some type of non-disclosure agreement that prevents him from talking about it. But then he's also telling people that he worked on it. So to me, that just seems contradictory, because why is he even talking about this? But when asked about more details, he just goes to the non-disclosure agreement. But then he's also talking and bringing light into the subject. It just doesn't make sense to me.
For the CIA, Justice Department, Department of Defense.
So you know for a fact that these weapons that you worked on, they're being used domestically today?
Absolutely.
Are there citizens of this country that are being abused with this technology?
Worse than abused, that's a light word. They're being tortured. They easily could be broadcasting across the country messages to people and causing them extreme pain.
We've run into a few people that claim they got voices in their head. When they talk to us, they seem totally normal. Are these people crazy, or is the government doing this to them?
The government's doing this to them. They're called voice of God weapons.
So the targeted individual.
Now, he's so sure the government's doing it, but it's also the same guy that wrote so many books, and he have not yet provided any documentation. Because I've been telling you guys, it's not the government. And it seems like in the TI community, it is people spread the information that is the government, because that's the most logical answer to accept, because this technology has got to be expensive. Who's got the money to do this? It's got to be government. It's got to be some wealthy group of people whom are sick in the head and wants to play some game to the TIs, to the targets. And to me, that doesn't make any sense, because a group of wealthy people with money, what they're doing to us as TIs, it's not pleasure. I would imagine something more disgusting would be pleasure. Like what's going on with TIs is not a way for them to be entertained, especially after all these years. There's no entertainment in it. TIs are boring. TIs are boring people. Am I correct? Name one TI that's so fascinating, where the wealthy group of people want to play this game and waste all these years and resources on this TI and nothing's happening. I mean, how many TIs are really doing something dramatic and so crazy and entertaining, just like a movie, like a James Bond movie? We're not. And it's not the government, because I always tell you guys, the dumpster staying gangstalkers, they control the government. And the government do not have this technology. You can say there's patents and all this stuff, but patent does not mean it's in production. There's a lot of patents out there which are not in production. And you're talking about a technology, a weapon, okay, for the TIs that are receiving sound to ear, voice to skull. That is such a precise technology. It can pinpoint the target, and with no lag, as if the conversation was right next to us. That technology, if it was government, the government, whoever owns it, will control the world. Imagine they just crank it up a little bit. If they crank it up a little bit, what will happen to the person? Whoever owns this technology controls the world. Is it happening? No. There's still disagreement. There's no one government controlling the world. There's a bunch of governments working together and play good cop, bad cops on the smaller countries, on their smaller governments. But you're talking about a government with this technology and they want to use it on targeted individuals, bunch of boring people. Because I'm a TI, I say I'm boring. Like there's nothing that exciting in my life. But I'm also fortunate, I can't complain about my life. I'm in a better spot than most people. But I don't see me doing anything that's exciting. So why would I be selected? That to me just doesn't add up. And I don't believe the government to be that evil. And also, based on what I know, it's not the government. The dumpster staying gang stalkers or advanced, they have the ability to get into people's minds, get into people's heads. They can send images into people's heads. They can send thoughts into people's heads. And they control the world. And I will show you in 2 weeks. And what I will show you, it's also been shown in history. But for some reason, the information is not there. So only by observation, that's how I put the two together. And I will show you in 2 weeks.
Individuals aren't crazy after all. These are people within our government at a certain level making these decisions, and they're not necessarily our president or our elected officials.
That's exactly right. They can't be removed, and they're difficult to find. They hide in the dark crevices of our government. These technologies that are being torturing people around the world, these type of weapons can make you kill yourself or others. They hide it in their news broadcasts. Oh, he's just crazy. They don't go any deeper. The colonel said, you can pipe voices into someone's head, I will find a way to talk them to their death. I know a couple high-level FBI, former FBI, that retired after in their 25 years of service or whatever. And they talk about how corrupt their agencies were. And those at the very top are very conniving. And as long as they can get away with it, they will. If the highest level of sort of criminal justice has failed this country, there is no hope.
Well, I can't agree with everything he just said. And he needs to provide some government documentation if he talking about the government and work with the government. But I don't, for some reason, I don't really feel good about this Robert Duncan guy. I mean, he's a TI. I get it. He's probably got good intentions. He wanted to spread the words. I get it. But I also recognize that the stuff that he's talking about, some of it are made up. Can I prove that? I don't care to prove it. He's got a theory. I disagree with some of his theory. And I will present my theory 2 weeks from now, which is going to be completely different from any TIs. The information I will show 2 weeks from now is going to be the first time ever. No TI has ever mentioned this. No TIs even come close to talking about this. And I've been gathering information for many years now. But then again, it's a theory. It's up to you to decide if you're going to believe it or not.
Привет всем, меня зовут Алексеева Светлана. Я хочу сделать видео.
Okay, this is Russian. I don't know what she's saying. It's Russian again. See, like watching videos like this, obviously you can tell this person probably live in some type of apartment complex. And I feel bad for TIs living in an apartment complex. I mean, Minnie mentioned there are a lot of dumpster staying gang stalkers at apartment complex. That's because there's a lot of energy. There's a lot of people. And the gang stalkers love to manipulate people's thoughts. And the dumpster staying gang stalkers love to get two people to go against each other. Because that is their ability. That is what they do. They have the ability to do that. I believe it's my second or third video on my channel that I talked about how two TIs can go against each other, not knowing the other person's a TI. That's because the dumpster staying gang stalkers can make the TI believe the person directly across from that TI is a gang stalker. But in reality, they're both TIs. And from watching this video, it looks like this person is in fear. This person's probably not enjoying it wherever he's living. And he's not alone. And that's why I always make mention that, you know, fortunately, I am in a better situation. My neighbors are 200 yards away from me. So I have a lot of freedom. I can go investigate. I can go outside. I have cameras. There's not many strange people walking by. Initially, I thought there were people coming to my windows. Eventually, what led me to calling the cops and all that stuff. But I never saw anyone in any of my footage. But since I was in a state of trance, and my thoughts were guided by these dumpster staying gang stalkers, I was living in a life believing that people were coming up to my window when I'm inside my home. So that was a long, long time ago. But TIs, there are some TIs after 10 years are still stuck in this stage. And that's because, unfortunately, they're most likely where they live, apartment complex. Because when you live in an apartment complex and you look out like this peephole and you see your neighbor walk by, well, guess what? The only reason the TI is looking through this peephole is because the dumpster staying gang stalkers induce the thought into the TI's mind, telling the TI that somebody's probably out there. But the dumpster staying gang stalkers also told the neighbors, oh, maybe throw out the trash now. So the neighbors grab the trash and they're walking out. Okay? And the TI start walking to the peephole, look through it, and see the neighbor walking by. And the next thought that comes into the TI's mind is, oh, see, told you that neighbor's a gang stalker. And the TI will buy into it, and that's the seed. That seed have been planted into the head of the TI. Notice how they coordinate that event. The dumpster staying gang stalkers can tell the neighbors to go throw out the trash, and the neighbors just gets the thought, oh, okay, the trash is full. I should throw out trash. It's garbage day tomorrow. Right? The neighbors might not be going through this like a TI. So the neighbor just gets a thought and not even realize it's not his or her own thought. That thought pops into his or her head. Because he or she was probably watching TV on the couch. All of a sudden gets the thought, oh, it's garbage day tomorrow. Grabbed the garbage, walked out. But the next door A TI also receiving messages. Someone's outside. They're probably stalking on you. Someone's on the other side of the front door. And the TI would get up and walk towards the door and look through the people and saw the neighbors walking by. Notice how that's coordinated and how possible that is. Well, this is happening on a daily basis, especially to the TI. See, when you're a TI and you're going through this, yes, they are more focused on you because you can hear them. You have awareness of their existence. So they're playing your mind. And the TI community, over 90% of the TIs bought into that false thoughts, false ideas from these dumpster stained gang stalkers. I'm not saying they're less intelligent. It's just based on their environment, their background, their financial situation, and their experience. What kind of experience they had also shapes the person. And that's what led them to where they are. And if you have neighbors in an apartment complex, it'll be so difficult for you to figure this out. Practically, based on the past 2 years of uploading videos from what I've been following other people, they haven't had the opportunity to figure it out. That's because of where they live. Too populated, too many people. See, for me, if I feel like someone's out there, I turn on my cameras. My TV, I change the source on my TV, look at all my cameras, and I don't see anyone. I have cameras on every corner. I try to cover all the blind spots. I don't see anyone. And instantly, after I realize I don't see anyone, I feel better again. You see a difference in my as a TI? I see no one on cameras. I feel better now. So I don't continue thinking about, oh, someone's out there. Someone's on the other side of my window. I stop those thoughts because on TV, I don't see anyone. But for a TI living in an apartment complex, he or she might look out the window and see a bunch of people chilling on the street. Well, that is just so easy for the dumpster stained gang stalkers, because for the TI to look down the street and sees a group of people chilling by their car down the street, well, that's just easy picking for the dumpster stained gang stalkers, because the next thought into the TI's mind is, look at those gang stalkers chilling there at that corner waiting for you. You better not go outside. If you go outside, they're gonna start following you. They're gonna inform other gang stalkers in the area, and they'll be following you. So the TI wouldn't even want to go outside. For a TI to open the front door and look down the hallway of the apartment building, all these different neighbors' doors, and then one neighbor down the hall is coming home, peep down the hallway and see that neighbor down in the hallways, try to open their door. Well, what's next thought? Oh, that's a gang stalker. They're just faking it. They're acting. They're pretending like they try to open the door. And will the TI feel relaxed after that? No, that TI won't feel relaxed. That TI mentally will be stuck thinking about gang stalking probably for many, many hours after that. Notice a difference in the living environment and how it plays out. For me, if I go outside, the gang stalker would send me a thought telling me, oh, they heard you go outside, was on your way out. So they ran to the corner, ran around the building, went to that side. They started running away. Well, that's why I installed cameras. So I just changed the source on my TV. I see all these different cameras on my property, and I won't see anybody. Then I feel relaxed because there's no one there. But before, if I actually had one blind spot, that would bother me. So I have to get maybe a whole nother camera system just to cover the blind spot. If I have any blind spots, that's where the dumpster stained gang stalkers will try to find these little areas in your mind to put fear in you. If you have cameras and you actually have a blind spot, you should cover it. Cover the blind spot with another camera. Because if you don't see it, that's when the gang stalkers will work into your mind. Oh, they're hiding right over there against that wall. That's where the blind spot is, and you know it. And now you're going to have to go outside to investigate. Or you might be too scared to go outside to investigate. Or you might tell yourself, I'll install the cameras tomorrow. But the next day, you'll get distracted, and they try to make you not remember. Try to make you forget about installing another camera facing the blind spot. So there's always that vulnerability in your mind. Unless you get the blind spot covered with cameras, you have all the blind spot on your property covered, then you can see there's no one there. And if there's someone there, then it's either a real thief or your neighbors are just wandering into your property, which they shouldn't. And you can go confront them or let them know or call the police. But once that happened, you have to recognize, when's the next time that will happen again? Because I doubt it will happen all the time. Because it's not happening all the time. It's just one of those things that happens. You don't have to blame it on gang stalking. But if you see it happening all the time, then something is wrong, and then you're going to need to figure it out. Either if that person's crazy, or if it's your neighbor, needs to be confronted. I mean, that's just a really bad living situation. But if it's just some stranger stumbling on your property, then maybe you should think about moving or putting up fences or putting up motion sensor lights to deter them, putting up a blinking red light to make them think that, oh, it's cameras. You have to do everything possible to prevent people from getting on your property. If you don't have your property fenced off from outside. So you have to do all these little things to help your mind and prevent the gang stalkers from working his way into your mind with these fears. So that's what I did. And that's how I was able to block off their attempts. At minimal, I knew I need cameras to cover all the angles. And once I did that, I don't see anybody. And that's how it starts shutting down those thoughts that people were by my windows. And now I'm able to live my life, don't have to think about people on the other side of my window when I'm just chilling there watching TV. They no longer have the ability to do that because I prevented them by setting up countermeasure, which is cameras covering all the angles, all the blind spots. No blind spots, northeast, southwest, every angle covered. And as a TI, you have to do that. So for this TI right here in this video, he or she needs to put a camera outside. So he or she doesn't have to use his peephole. That's at least at minimal this person needs to do. And this whole time this person's doing this, his mind, he or she's having these thoughts, which are just not a pleasant thought, or maybe not even thinking at all, but then it's the sensation, it's just not pleasant. It's not a good feeling. I can feel the anxiety just watching this video that what that person was going through. See, the person got scared, doesn't even want to film through the peephole anymore. Because this person was probably receiving thought that, oh, they can tell that you're filming them through the peephole. And that's why this person decided not to film the peephole. What this person should do is tell him or herself, I'm going to film through the people if I want to. Who cares? What are they going to do? I'm inside my home. I can look out this peephole. If I want to film out this peephole, I'm going to do it. I'm not doing anything wrong. I don't care if they can see that I'm filming them through the peephole. Let them know. And that's another thing about TIs. When you install cameras, don't try to hide any cameras. Put the camera out there so anyone that walks by can see them. Be proud of your cameras and let them know you have cameras. Don't try to hide it behind bushes, hide it behind branches, just to try to catch them in the act. Don't do that. Be bold. Put your camera right in their faces so they can see it. There's no need to hide those cameras. Let them know you have cameras. Do that. So let me check out some comments. There's some comments here. I'm here without you, baby, but you're still on my lonely mind. I don't know what this is about. TNT Storm. You know what? I don't know what happened to TNT Storm. I hope she's doing okay. I really don't know what happened to her. I haven't heard from her. And if you're watching TNT Storm, please email me, comment, let me know you're okay, because it's not just me. Other people out there miss your content. And hopefully you're doing okay. Here's an average Joe. Hey, an average Joe. Hope you're doing well. It's a big deal when they try to orchestrate car accidents. Oh, I'm interested to hear your stories, because I don't know if it happens to any of you, but when I'm driving for many years now, there's a huge glare. And when I kind of cup my hand and put it over my top of my forehead, where my hairline is, my vision gets better. So it's like, imagine if I have a baseball cap on, so that would help my vision. So if you're driving, you should have a baseball cap. And if you feel like the drivers around you are really bad drivers, then I don't know what to tell you other than to drive slow and try not to get crazy or upset over other drivers, because there are bad drivers out there. And for me, when it's super strong glare, I recently bought some sunglasses. And these sunglasses were, to me, they were expensive. They were in the 300s. But they were the best pair of sunglasses I've ever bought to date. And the lenses are mineral lenses. Okay, I guess I just found this out, but I used to wear some Ray-Bans and Maui Jims, but I guess the cheaper type, they have plastic type of lenses. I don't know what the material is called, but I recently bought these lenses, and these sunglasses, and the lenses are made out of mineral lens, and they are super clear. The glare is gone. Putting them on just feels like I can see things in detail. So it's definitely worth the money. I don't even know how to pronounce the name of the brand. It starts with a V. I think it's Veranet or something like that. It's a French brand. So if you're driving, definitely have a good pair of sunglasses on. Drive slow. And that's really all you can do. Because there's really no point in thinking so deep into it. Keep thinking about how they're going to kill you when you're driving, because that is just putting fear into your mind. So they're making you constantly thinking about dying. And you don't want to think about dying. Think about dying, it's like a form of suicidal thoughts. And you don't want to do that. Don't even think about it because you can't. There's nothing you can do other than to do what you can. Okay? You can't do anything about other drivers. So, make sure your vision, eliminate the glare, get a nice pair of sunglasses, drive slower, and try to get a good night of sleep. But then again, I don't know what you're talking about. The dumpster saint gang stalkers do mess with us. They absolutely mess with us. And one thing I realized that it kind of helped me is by not thinking too much. Because I notice that when I'm driving and I'll be receiving these random thoughts, if I start thinking, I feel like I'm kind of like in a state of trance if I'm driving and thinking too much about these random different things. So I try to not think about random stuff. I try to put on headphones and listen to an audiobook or listen to something, try to keep my mind engaged with something that's positive for my life. And I also have a bottle of a spray bottle of water. I like to spray my face once in a while. And that wakes me up. It keeps me awake. It feels great. And eliminate some of that heaviness on the head. And I also have a handheld massager that's always with me. So I would like to use that thing on my lower back or on my calves, so help circulate the blood. So it's good to flex your body too once in a while. If you're going to go for a long drive, just flex your body, because when you flex, you're making your blood flow move. So when you flex, it's just like lifting weights. Whenever you flex, you're pushing blood. So get your blood moving. You should stay awake a lot better than when your blood's not moving. And you should try doing that, flexing your body if you're going to go on a long drive. I've had 3 separate head-on attempts. How often did that happen? Did that happen on one day or happened throughout different days? Because that's terrible if that happens. What about the streets that you were on? Is it a busy street? Is it a one-way street on both directions? How did that all happen within a week, within a month, within the same day, 2 days? Well, just be thankful that nothing bad happened to you and you're still here. Hey, guilty until proven innocent. We absorb each other's energy naturally. Yeah. One thing's for sure is with me, for my wife, if I notice she's kind of not like herself, if I see her kind of something's bothering her, it definitely does something to me. It affects me. Or if I start seeing her not smiling, then I know something's probably bothering her or something's going on. And in a way, it is somewhat contagious, because that makes me feel like, oh, I kind of want to help her and figure it out. So the people around you, if a person's complaining all the time, you're not going to be naturally happy when you hang out with a person that complains all the time. But if you hang out with a person that's very uplifting, with a lot of energy, very humble, then you're going to feel great. You're probably going to feel really good hanging out with this person. So yeah, it's very true. Meditation in nature is key. Meditation is very calming. Being in nature is very, very calming. So those 2 things are very good. Sometimes I like to just sit there in nature, just sit by a tree and just sit there and don't look at my phone, don't do anything. Just sit there for about 10 minutes. I feel great. I had one head-on collision attempt the other day. Now, when you guys are talking about collision attempt, what exactly does that mean? Does that mean the car actually went into your lane head on, like crossing the yellow line? It came into your lane? Or did you have to jerk your wheel to get maneuver out of the way? Like, did you honk the horn, or what was it like? Because I would imagine someone just crossing into your lane, breaking the double yellow or something, and then you have to swerve out of the way, which is a serious thing. Good videos. Thanks. How do you explain the numerology? Well, the numerology, to me, I used to get a lot of 11s. I still get it once in a while. There was one point in time where I was getting 11 in the AM, the PM for 3 straight days. So now, every time I see 11, I don't think about, oh, it's about to be 11. It's 11:10. I better go look at my clock a minute from now. No, it's not like that. It's usually when I'm doing something and all of a sudden I'll receive a thought to check something on my phone. I'll pull out my phone out of my pocket. I push the power button and it'll say 11. Or I'm watching some type of TV. Next thing you know, out of nowhere, I'll look up at the clock. It'll be 11. Sometimes I'll be on the internet, right? I'll be reading other people's comment, and all of a sudden I'll notice in the comment someone's timestamp was 11. So I would see 11 quite often, and one time was in morning and night 11 for 3 straight days. Now, what are the odds of that? That is definitely a sign, but you have to realize it was also directed by the dumpster stank gang stalkers. Is there a purpose, a meaning? Sure, why not? I don't see anything bad with it. Obviously, it's telling you you're special in some way. But you have to realize your thought was directed by these entities to check the clock right at that time. Like I was saying, I'm doing something, all of a sudden I want to check something on my phone, I pull out my phone. Well, that whole sequence of thoughts, it was guided by the gang stalkers. They're the one to pop the thought into my mind. Oh, you should check your email or check Facebook, see if that person reply or whatever, or check YouTube, see if anyone responds to a comment. I could be just outside doing my own thing, completely nothing related to technology, just no cell phone, nothing, just do my stuff on, around the yard. And all of a sudden the thought will pop in, oh, go check your phone, go check this. So I'll take a break, I'll just pause, I'll bust out my phone and I'll turn the power on, boom, 11. And then when I see it, they'll send me a thought and make me recognize the number, be like, oh, it's 11. And over time, when this keep happening, oh, that's when I realized, oh, wow, I keep seeing 11. See, but when I recognize I keep seeing 11, I had no idea about lower voices skull. I didn't know all this of what I know now today. But of course, I thought it was special that I see 11 all the time. And some people see 444, they see 333, they see 12, 10, whatever, it's just sequence of numbers. And to each person, they all have different meanings. And that's how it's been throughout history. They all have different meanings. Anyone's right? No one can really prove who's right and who's wrong when it comes to this. You just have to ask yourself, is it a good feeling? If it's a good feeling, then go with it. Right? Because if it's a bad feeling, then stop your mind from thinking into it. Especially when it's bad feelings, you don't want to keep thinking into it. When you keep thinking into it, it doesn't help you with anything. It just keep planting these negative seeds into your mind. That's all you really need to know when it comes to numbers. If it makes you feel good, go with it. Makes you feel bad, stop those thoughts. Stop thinking into those thoughts. That's all you can do. If you want to read books about history and how these numbers are related to all these other things like Freemason, all these other things, well, that's fine. But now you have to identify the quality of your thoughts. If you relate a certain number to Freemason, like some TIs out there, and this number usually means gang stalking or something bad, well, we all know what gang stalking thoughts are. It's bad thoughts. Stop yourself from thinking about it. Don't think into it. Because you realize the more you think into it, what solution you try to come up, there are none. It's just a bunch of questions, a bunch of fearful questions, and there's no solution to it. Because you don't know the answer. You see the connection in a way that you believe are there. But now that I know it's coming from these dumpster saying gang stalkers, and now that I know these type of thoughts are negative thoughts, I stop myself from thinking into it. I mean, think about it. That's really all you can do. Okay, looks like that's all the comments. Maybe I'll do one more video and I'm going to sign off. Children are poisoned in school. I really want to know what this guy have to say, but it's all Russian videos. I don't.
Здравия всем, друзья мои, здравствуйте.
I don't understand Russian, so unfortunate.
Вы помните, когда мы жили?
Okay, so this is a perfect example of what I was talking about. Notice how this lady is just filming these people down there. And that's one problem when living with a lot of people nearby. It's too easy for the dumpster saying gang stalkers to mess with the TI. Look at this lady. She just look out the window. These people are just chilling by their car. I know, I'm confident that these people were not even there for her. They're not there to talk about her. They don't even think about her. And they had no idea right above their head, a TI is receiving these negative thoughts and think of them as gang stalkers. There's no connection between them. There's no direct proof that these people are doing anything to her, and she has no proof that these people are doing anything to her. But the only connection she have is in her mind. Her dumpster saying gang stalkers is making her focus on these people, the nearest to her, and making her believe they are somehow gang stalkers. These are just people chilling. One of them probably live at this same apartment place or lives nearby. I mean, imagine if you live at an apartment complex, imagine the times when you were just chilling in the parking lot, talking to your relatives, talking to your friends by their car. Same thing. This is the same thing, but with just one of your neighbors doing it. It's the same thing. There's no connection between this group of people and the lady filming them. She's just listening to the lower voices call coming from her dumpster saying gang stalkers.
Их хозяева порубили деревья, огромные прекрасные деревья. Вы помните, когда мы жили в Союзе? Мы сажали деревья. Теперь деревья рубят. Для того, чтобы облегчать уничтожение людей, проникновение волнового оружия и всех прочих видов оружия.
Oh, now, notice that lady looked up, but it's probably her talking about them. She looked up and she looked so shocked.
Внутрь домов. Деревья прекрасно закрывали мою квартиру, мои окна. Вот этих гадов. Теперь все. Защиты нет. Истязают дико просто. Жгут вообще мучительно, очень больно. Вот так они проводят свое время. Вот так собираются такими группами и начинают сжечь человека.
Смотрим внимательно. Внимательно. Вот он сюда лезет. Он сюда лезет. Вы видели?
Now, something is wrong with this here. Now, this kid climb up here is something that's not even normal. But is this gang stalking? No. To me, this just looks like some stupid kid doing stupid things.
Yeah.
And this lady, I would, if I was in her position, I would close the window and call the cops. And stuff like this don't happen consistently. Yes, there are TIs out there who goes through strange things like this. This is really strange. And stuff like this happens. I mean, that's just part of life. Unfortunately, you know, situations like this is not a good one. And this kid is just doing stupid things. Look at him smiling to his friends. And this lady should really just close the window because she shouldn't even be talking to this guy so close. But who knows? Maybe she's crazy. She's crazier than him. Maybe she just got a knife in her, holding, you know, in her hand and is behind her back. Who knows?
А что говорят?
Вы видели? Он сюда еще и лезет. Вот так вот.
Какие вопросы?
Видали? Между прочим, это 3-й этаж.
Да. До 10 вечера люди могут, не нарушая общественный порядок, делать, что хотят.
Поняли? В том числе облучать волновым оружием всех, кого они захотят. Вот так вот.
Сейчас я узнаю, что хотят.
Ага.
Что хотите? Ну, извините, пожалуйста.
Все. У меня больше сил нет.
А что вы хотите?
Я отключаю.
Да, что вы хотите? Ну, что вы хотите?
Я хочу, чтобы вы в жопу пошли.
В жопу пошли?
Да.
Ты свой рот закрой, мразь, эти чистоги.
Это ты, мразь! Говно собачье. Видали? Слышали?
Да, ты видел.
Хорошо, что я ничего не выключила.
Что вы меня послали,
Да, ты пошел в жопу.
Вы сказали промолчать.
Ты пошел в жопу.
Спускайтесь, вызывайте сотрудников.
I tell you, situations like this, it gets heated. The dumpster staying gang stalkers can mess with our feelings. And that's why, as a TI, it's important to not get into confrontation because you never know. That other person just crazier. In this situation, that kid was crazy, doing crazy things, climbing up there where he didn't belong just to talk to the lady. Everything is just not abnormal. But the dumpster saying gang stalkers was the one to induce the idea into the kid's mind to climb up there. And majority of people do not realize that they're being mind controlled. So subtle. Just an idea and a thought is enough to get the person to do stupid things. Just look at any of those mass murderers. All it took was some mass murdering thoughts, and those people will just go do it because usually they're pissed off, right? They're pissed off at something, that type of situation. It's a perfect situation for the dumpster staying gang stalkers to induce those craziest thoughts, do the stupidest things to cause destruction. So as TIs, you have to start recognizing these thoughts. And we are all vulnerable, but it takes practice to get better at identifying them and not listen to them and not thinking into them. As a TI, I have to tell you, you have to come to realization that to stop these type of thoughts. Oh, I'm sorry, guys. I didn't even show you the video, actually. I'm so sorry. I thought the video was being shown, but Basically, this is what I'm talking about right here. This lady's talking to these people.
Собираются такими группами. Он сюда еще и лезет.
And this guy climb up next to her window. So now you see.
Вот
I
так
thought the
вот.
video was...
Какие вопросы?
I totally forgot the video wasn't being shown, but this is what I mean. Okay, so now you get it. So it's important to recognize these negative thoughts as a TI and start practicing not thinking into them. And you have to at some point realize as a TI, these thoughts could get very personal. Very personal, but you're going to have to practice not letting it bother you. And when I mean personal, it could think of the worst thought that you can receive, the worst possible idea you can get that happened to you or your family or your loved ones. So think of that in the worst case, and you could receive those thoughts, and what are you going to do? You're probably going to feel like a lot of pain, right? You probably feel like it's messed up what they're doing. But you're going to have to overcome it. In a way, to not have feelings for those thoughts is kind of like killing your own self in a way, to not have feelings. But that's not true. You're actually strengthening yourself, because those negative thoughts can come at any moment. And you're going to have to be able to stop those thoughts. Not all thoughts are true. And just because you receive a thought, it doesn't mean it's happening. And these dumpster saying gang stalkers love to send thoughts, really bad ones too. And a lot of TIs buy into them. So this will take practice. It takes time, but you can do it. So 2 more weeks, and I will show you the faces of your gang stalkers. And it's a theory that no TI have ever brought up. And all I'm going to tell you is, if after I show you the video and you still don't buy it, then you are on your own. Because there's nothing more I can show you, because I already show you everything I know. Well, not everything I know, but all the videos I made from that point on will be backing up my theory. And that's the direction I'm going to go. So if you don't buy into it, then you really are just on your own. And I hope you find your way. So 2 more weeks, and I will show the faces of your gang stalkers. Thank you for joining me. Have a good night, everybody. Shim Hong, signing out.